What's up guys, good morning, 8:20 a.m. my time. I hope you guys having a great one. Thank you for coming to the YouTube. Today we're gonna talk about class tuning that came out several hours ago, I guess overnight. Exactly what has changed for each class and what you can expect from their performance going forward to season 2 PTR. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. First thing first, we're having a Frost Death Knight getting a large buff, Obliterate 20% damage, Frost Strike 15% damage. Breath was buffed by 10%. Rhyme now increased damage with Howling Blast by additional 50%. And then on top of this, the 4-piece now grants you Mastery instead of Haste, which is actually very good. Now overall here we're looking at much better single target, better sustained damage, and even better damage during your cooldowns. Frost Decay is definitely eating good, and on our tier list it was already around A tier performance. After these changes, it might rise to the very top of A tier. Perhaps it could enter even S. I will be testing that in the following hours. Overall, I believe that was more of a rate change. They were trying to like balance Frost Decay better in rate, while they probably made it right now really good for Mythic Plus, so to be tested. Unholy DK, its sibling spec also received significant buffs. Dead Coil 15%, Apocalypse 25%, Magus of the Dead 15%, and Soul Reaper by 35%. Again, all of those things, they were trying to offset the lack of single target compared to other specs, but indirectly also buffing it for Mythic Plus. Again, Cloying Shadows and Scourging Strike also damage increased by 15%, which is absolutely fucking crazy to me. Overall here we're looking at much better and improved on Unholy DK, much better Mythic Plus single target, also rate single target depending on the builds you're playing. Overall, W's across the board. Both specs were already decent for Mythic Plus, if not better than most of the melees. Now they're gonna become even more dominant. Thumbs up. Moving forward, Demon Hunter. Alright, so Demon Hunter was most definitely a specialization, especially Havoc, that hasn't seen any changes since the start of PTR, and a lot of people complain about it. Finally, they decided to do something. First of all, Immolation Aura 6% buff, Sigil of Flame 6% buff. This applies to Vengeance and also Havoc. Fails card. Demon Surge damage increased by 40%, by the way. 40. Burning Blades now deals 50% of listed damage instead of 35 over 6 seconds period. And Flame Bound increases Emo Aura critical strike bonus by 30 instead of 25. Again, Fails card has been buffed, although a lot of people played Aldraki for Vengeance and Havoc. Right now, it seems like they are trying to make both builds or hero talents viable. Specifically for Havoc here, we're having a significant Mastery buffs. And when I tell you Mastery was already good enough for them, they are buffing it even more. Crazy. They're nerfing, however, the Soul Scar damage from your Troll Glaive by a little bit. Fair enough. A Fire Insight now causes your Emo Aura to deal chaos damage, by the way, instead of fire. A great change here. Cycle of Hatred, additional aura stacks generated now persist until Demon Hunter has been out of combat for 60 seconds without casting the Eye Beam. Another very good quality of life change here, coming for Havoc DH. And several troll fixes, bug fixes, which again, I'll take those. Now, all of this sounds good, but yet again, compared to most of the specs that are placed on AOS tier, nowhere near. Like, for example, your damage is like twice as less as Enhanced Shaman right now. Like, pretty much all the casters completely gape you. So, we're looking at perhaps further tuning on Havoc DH. I believe in the upcoming weeks, you might see again one more. But those changes, even though positive, are definitely not enough to get them out of the hole, in my opinion. Again, considering all of the other underperforming classes just got buffed as well, probably still going to be a bottom DPSer, but much better than before. Also buffs of Fails card, specifically for Havoc. Vengeance, it seems like it's getting Burning Blood bonus fire damage reduced from 10% to 8%, but remember, they got Sigil of Flame and Emo Aura buffed by 6% at the beginning. And Fairy Demise bonus to fire damage dealt to targets affected by your Fairy Brand reduced from 20 to 40 to 15-30. Fair enough. I feel like this is probably going to be net neutral change in terms of the damage. Maybe even a very slight nerf, who knows. But overall, that's all for DH. Balance Druid. Power of Gold Druid damage increased by 100%. Wow, that's actually quite juicy. I'm probably going to give it a try right now. Status Surge, 5% increased damage. Better single target. I think they were already fine for AoE. One of the best in AoE, especially Spread Cliff AoE. But they just wanted to pump a little bit more damage on ST. Against Status Surge, 5% amp might do that. And Touch of Cosmos chance to increase to 18% from Rat was 15 and 25 from Starfire. All right, I'll take that. Overall balance to one of the very strong, like one of the strongest Mythic Plus performance for range spec. So buffs are great there. Now this is very unexpected. Pharaoh Druid has received 8% all damage abilities buffed. Now there are some fundamental issues that I don't really like with how Pharaoh plays out, especially in the downtime where you don't really have enough energy to do anything. This itself is not going to fix it, but it's going to make your sustained damage better and burst damage even better. Again, during burst, especially during major cooldowns, they weren't having any issues at all. This itself will definitely help out, but again, core issues remain, which likely will still offset Pharaoh to be inferior to Balance and the rest of the, melee specs placed above you, but much better. Evoker, not really a lot of things for Evoker. Flame Shaper has been buffed a little bit, or I guess bug fixed. Skill Commander is still a better choice here for Death Evoker, and Augmentation Evoker doesn't have a Flame Shaper. They have Skill Commander as well, which they're playing. And when it comes down to a Preservation Evoker, I feel like Chrono Warden is likely the better play here. But I respect that they're trying to buff Flame Shaper. Moving forward to the elephant of the room, Hunter. Now, Beastmaster Hunter, if you haven't paid any attention, has seen significant buffs last week. However, those buffs were really huge, especially to the 4-piece, hence why this time around, Blizzard is trying to tune them down. But Bestial Rat damage increased by 5%. That's a buff, by the way, not a nerf, that's a buff. Q command damage increased by 10%. That's a buff, by the way, not a nerf. So here's the foreset. The CDR that you get for Bestial Rat has been halved. So pretty much you get less uptime on Bestial Rat, but you get more damage from it. Sometimes your Bestial Rat was already ready before the current one expires or runs out. So this itself might not be a big of a deal, especially if you get a lot more barb shots procs. You might have a lesser of a uptime, but overall you're gonna get more damage during the Bestial Rat. And especially if you play Killer Cobra, Q command now is gonna be very powerful here, a little bit more ST damage. For AoE, it doesn't really matter, it's irrelevant, it's just a little bit more ST. And the 4-piece also here has been nerfed. The Potent Mutant now lasts 8 seconds instead of 10. Again, this was minus 20% duration, which will definitely lower your damage a little bit from it. Overall, I still believe BM to be a very, very strong pickup, and we'll be testing that in the following hours. Hunter has seen some very little buffs, but still buffs. Aim shot 5% more damage, which already was topping damage meter most of the time. Spotter mark damage increased from 10 to 20. Again, 100% buff to spotter mark damage. I'll take that. Probably I'll try to run talents that bump up the spotter mark damage even further to try to play around it. Pretty much it. Mage has seen a very few changes. Mostly they're trying to tune Frostfire to be like relevant and competitive to other hero talents, because right now it's like overperforming compared to others. Excess Fire, Frostfire stacks to 2 times. That's for all specs, by the way. The cooldown reduced of excess Frost has been reduced to 3 seconds, was 5. Again, nerfs here. Arcane Mage, Arcane Barrage damage increased by 10%. Very good change here. You're gonna get much better sustain now. Well, not much better, but slightly better sustain. Fire Mage, Frostfire, Phoenix Flamings reduced to 5 seconds, was 10 seconds before. Again, this will lower your output even further. Frostfire Infusion damage reduced by additional 10% here. And excess Frost Ice Nova effectiveness decreased to 150%, was 200. Again, this might make Sun Fury competitive or even better in some cases, but I still believe it's going to be a good pickup to play Frostfire. That's not nearly enough to kill the hero talent, but again, to put it more in line. Frost Mage Wintertide damage bonus reduced to 2 to 4%. Again, feel like they were trying to offset some of the damage that Frost does from your Spike and Ice Lances to like perhaps even Blizzard and Frozen Orb. Although they already nerfed Blizzard a while back, now they're nerfing Wintertide by pretty much half of the effect, which is kind of nuts. And also nerfing Frostfire, which was their dominant hero talents. Infusion nerfed by 10%, and again Excess Frost Nova, just like Fire, got nerfed as well. Yeah, overall small nerfs for Frost Mage, but I think in the grand scheme of things, they're still one of the best, like top 3 range spec right now. Moving forward to Brewmaster Monk, quite a large buff in my opinion to invoke Nizao, which is something that a lot of Monk players were asking for that one. As you can see, 40% of stagger damage while activate is gonna be now the case instead of 25. That's a significant buff. And also in Nizao, Storm damage increased by 22%. Overall, Brewmaster has been getting 2 buffs in a row, which will definitely increase their durability, which is a massive, well, not massive, but it definitely is an issue in this season. Better than Season 1, however. Self-sustain is another issue that I have already commented, but I'm pretty sure that they're gonna try to tune it up or down. You never know, Blizzard, you know? So, yeah. Beastleaver Monk has seen fair share of changes. JT Empowerment now, damage amplifier has been nerfed, which will result in less of a single target. However, they're trying to make it do more AoE damage. So again, less single target, but they're trying to do a little bit more damage in AoE. Kind of like trying to offset it. Which to me, this will probably result in a slight nerf overall from the JT Empowerment output, like likely, you know, within a range of like 3 to 5%. So here's the interesting thing. The 4-piece, the insurance buff, which comes from 2 and 4-piece, has been buffed. The healing has been buffed by 15%. Kind of crazy about it. But they also changed and fixed some of the issues that the 4-piece was presenting. Apparently, it was healing more than intended. Hence why I feel like they nerfed that, but they're trying to offset the nerfs to the 4-piece with the general buffs to insurance, which will pretty much be net neutral. So only small damage nerfs for Mistweaver, still the best hero by far. Moving forward, Templar issue causing Hammerfall to not proc impeded hammer on overlapping procs has been resolved. Again, quality of life changes, doesn't really matter. Holy Paladin buffs Word of Glory healing by 15%, juicy. Light of Dawn by 12% healing increase, and Hammer and Anvil healing decreased by 33%. Again, they took something out, but they added 2 more things. Fair enough for them. Outlaw Rogue, it seems like to be getting a buff. Roll the Bones base chance to roll 5 buff increased to 2%, almost double compared to before. Interesting change. Sleight of Hand now grants 20% increased chance of granting additional matches with 60. That's a buff, by the way, by roughly 25%, which is crazy here. Crazy. And the 4-piece grants 40% increased chance of granting additional match with 16. Again, I feel like this was already present because you were rolling so many, like, you were rolling so many 2 buffs and 5 buffs. Because I don't know why. I feel like this was already present on a PTR, but perhaps I'm wrong. I'll be testing it today. But overall, this might bring Outlaw now much higher than before if this is actually wasn't present. But if it was present, it'll probably stay around A tier, like upper B, lower A. Outlaw's damage right now is actually much better than before. So, last but not least, Warrior, finally. Much anticipated changes for Warriors, as you can see here. Iron's Warrior, huge buffs across the board. Mortal Strike, Overpower, Dreadnought by 20% buff. Cleave, Execute by 10%. Slam damage increased by 30%. Colossal Smash and Warbreaker now have new visuals. Again, more pleasant to play. Warbreaker area of effect is now centered around a point 1 yard in front of you, in front of the Warrior, to better align of the new visuals. Okay, so overall, this is actually a huge buff to Iron's Warrior. Likely gonna make them extremely good in rating, and perhaps in Mythic Plus will likely raise in the rankings. Well, most definitely gonna raise in the rankings because the buffs are too significant. Same thing goes to Fury, by the way. Rampage, Raging Blow, Crushing Blow, Bloodthirst, Bloodbath has been buffed by 20%. Raid performance now is gonna get close to Iron's Warrior. Mythic Plus performance increased, but Fury has some fundamental issues of Mythic Plus that are unfortunately present in the in the current season, which I think you're not going to see Fury higher than B tier even after the buffs. Odin Fury also got buffed, but doesn't really matter, you don't really pay that anyway. Prot Warrior, the last thing that changed here, Barbaric Training no longer increased rage cost of Ravage, Execute damage increased by 10, Fronting Berserker chance to refund 50% of the rage spent on Revenge instead of 25, amazing change here, it's gonna solve some of the rage issues, and even add more damage. Some bug fix here, and the 4 pieces and 2 pieces tier set has been already buffed last week, but I guess this is where they included it in the notes. Overall, I think Protection Warrior has seen second buff in a row, which again will definitely increase their performance in Mythic Plus by a little bit, but still a buff. Anyway guys, that's everything so far. Thank you for watching the video. I will be coming online in several hours to be testing everything so far. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace out.